Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. Tonight, we are recapping the week's nerdy news and also the year's nerdy news, kind of. Not really news, but I don't know. You'll know when we get there. From 2023 to 2024 and everywhere in between. Happy New Year. My name is Mike Gibson. With me is Steve Haller. What's up, Steve?
Well, it feels like it's been years since we've recorded, even though it's been like a week and a half.
Yeah, okay, it has been over a week, right? I couldn't remember exactly when we recorded.
I think, did we do
last
Friday last week?
I think we did do Friday last week.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember.
Oh, yeah, because
I was digging up some of
these Christmas holiday. I hosted 30 people on Saturday, so I was like, there's no chance in hell that I'm recording.
That's right, yeah. And then, because I was looking at stories to think of, and there's not a ton of like big news worth talking about. And some of the stuff that I did find, I was like, this seems like it happened a long time ago.
Have we talked about this?
But I knew we hadn't talked about it. But I was like, how haven't we talked about it? But that's why, because our schedule's been crazy.
And that'll work out nice, because this week we wanted to do like a nice recap on 23 and look ahead to 24. We did something similar last year. I would be curious. I had some time and I completely spaced on it. I wanted to go back and see what we were most excited about from like going into 24.
That would have been cool.
That would have been a good grab, but I didn't quite have enough time. Oh, happy New Year to you, Brian.
Oh, happy New Year, Brian, in the chat. Appreciate it. Steve, can you hear like a white noise-ish thing coming from my microphone? Because I can hear it. I've got like a dehumidifier on the other side of the room.
Okay. No, audio.
You can't hear it, then I'm good to go. But I can hear it, but I'll turn it off if it's going to be a problem.
No, just you.
Okay. All right, good. Perfect. Anyway, this podcast is today, as it always is sponsored by Monkeytown Comics, Camillus, New York, Syracuse, New York. Recently got a shout out from Joshua Williamson. Pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Doing some promo
Who may come
stuff
up later in the podcast.
He may. And I think is that all the kind of business we got? Oh, we got just a shout out to Collectors Con. We are in a couple days. We'll be entering 2024, the year of Syracuse Collectors Con, March 16th and 17th, the Expo Center at the New York State Fairgrounds.
Not the Expo
Check it
Center,
out.
at the Horticulture Building at the New York.
Sorry, Horticulture Building. I always think it's the Expo Center. It's not Horticulture Building.
No, we'd be filling like a 20,000 person con if it was. Actually, we could probably do more than that in that Horticulture Building, but that Expo Center is huge.
That's true. It is huge. Anyway, I'll be there. Steve will be there. Steve and I will be there. Steve Orlando will be there.
All the Steves.
Bunch of Power Rangers, bunch of Ninja Turtles.
Yep.
Celebrities, comic book people. Matt Flint, tremendous artist Matt Flint will be there.
Funky Town Comics and Vinyl will be there.
Funky Town Comics, of course, will be there. Yeah, and more vendors signing up every day. So check it out.
I'm assuming Brian in the chat will be there just because we know Brian.
Hey, you deep fans of the Multiverse Report that have always wanted to meet Brian in the chat, come on out. I'm sure he'll be walking around signing autographs. We should have him as a special guest at the Multiverse Report table.
Dude, we can have
just like a little.
We will be recording, so we might as well.
Yeah, we got to have like a little plaque though that says Brian in the chat though made up.
I will figure it out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so we have a Marvel thing and a DC thing, and then I'm going to talk about a movie that I saw this past week, real quick, and then we're going to do some best ofs. We're going to talk about our superlatives for 2023. Talk about our favorite film, TV show, and comic from the past year, and then we're going to kind of go over things that are supposedly or have been announced to be coming out in 2024. And we're going to go through a couple of those.
My breath on those.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them have already moved. There's not a lot of. There's one Marvel movie on that list, but it's a long list. Still a long list.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to go through that and then pick out some things that we are especially excited about as well.
Yeah, I was telling Mike I had my pure analog list for this. So.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah,
can't wait.
Written on paper. This old thing that we used to use. It's the evolution from parchment. We've moved up in the world, but yeah.
Shocking. Now I type things on a screen.
It's weird.
It's weird. All right. First story, old news at this point, but again, we had not talked about it. Inevitable news? I thought it was inevitable, and I'm shocked that it didn't happen sooner. They really waited until the absolute last minute. Marvel fires Jonathan Majors after he was found guilty of assault.
Yeah,
New
and
York City.
they waited till the last minute, but also didn't. As soon as the verdict dropped, the news was out that Marvel had dropped him. So
Yes.
Marvel had this was premeditated. Marvel already had everything in the can. For as soon as the verdict came down, they made their course of action, chose the road they were going down, and here we are.
Yes.
The Marvel part of it is definitively the smaller piece of the puzzle when it comes to this case, but
yes, absolutely.
From our standpoint, we are a nerd news podcast, so that is where it ties in.
Yes, thank you for saying that, Steve. First and foremost, we want to make sure that everyone listening knows we understand this is a much larger issue than what it means for the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We hope that this verdict helps the victim and their families heal from the hurt and trauma caused by Jonathan Majors, and that it continues to shine a light on this kind of like monstrous behavior that, is prevalent
theme in the film industry.
and really everywhere, but also in the film industry in this case as well. But like you said, Steve, we are a nerd news podcast, so we are talking about it, mentioning that, and pivoting quickly to a much less important topic in the grand scheme of things, but one that is relevant to our interests. How Marvel will move forward. Now, this is something that you and I have talked about before.
Yep.
And there's been think pieces and articles about what they should do. Rumors that they've already talked about pivoting from Kang the Conqueror being the big bad and pivoting to a Doctor Doom, say, or someone else of that stature.
Yeah.
Of course, the option is there to recast the character of Kang as well. And I mean, I think they kind of set themselves up pretty well. I mean, Ant-Man and Quantumania ended one way with an infinite amount of Jonathan Majors as Kangs ready to go. But then you got Loki season 2, which, spoiler alert for the end of Loki season 2, ends with the destruction and rebuilding of all timelines, really, with Loki at the center of it. So they could kind of spin out of that and just start something completely new, I guess, if they wanted to. Like, they have wiggle room for themselves, which they always seem to leave for themselves. Sometimes in a
better.
Sometimes I find exactly for better for worse. Sometimes I find it frustrating the amount of wiggle room that they give themselves. But in this case, I think it's working out well for them. Steve, would you prefer them to continue with Kang, but being played by somebody else, or would you rather them pivot to a new character?
No, pivot.
As a villain.
100%
pivot.
I think at this point they left it. It's at the end of Loki season 2, you're at a decent enough point where you can just cut ties with the Kang character, hypothetically recast and have him come back at a later date if you're down the line, whatever. But at this point, like, pivot to Doom, still run Secret Wars. It was, I believe in the week, it was also announced that the second Secret Wars is officially, or the first Secret Wars is officially going to be Secret Wars and then Secret Wars Part 2.
The first Avengers movie. Yeah, the Avengers, they're calling it Avengers 5 now instead of Avengers Kang Dynasty, which I believe something that, Steve, I'm pretty sure that you and I said that on this podcast.
Yeah.
When we're talking about the Jonathan Majors stuff maybe a month ago. I think we were like, they're going to change the name of that movie.
Yep. And then they did. So.
And they did, and we were right. So yeah, I think now they're calling it Avengers 5, and it's been rumored and suggested that that's just going to be like Secret Wars Part 1 and 2.
Right. Same thing they did with the Infinity Saga. Like,
yeah,
it makes sense. Secret Wars is way more of a story than you can tell in one movie. So why not pivot to that? Use it as you can and move on. I mean, without Kang, you still can pivot to Doom. You have a multitude of other villains. You have all sorts of things going on. Like, there's plenty of options and plenty of ways to do it. So and Marvel has shown in the past that they can take a storyline, not use it verbatim, use the name and the hype, and for better or for worse, come up with a different story to fit the mold. Didn't quite work with Secret Invasion. Hopefully it's a little better than that for Secret Wars. If we were going for actually, you know what? Later in the podcast, we would have talked about if we bring up worse things, you'll be talking about Secret Invasion. Otherwise, that will not get mentioned on this podcast. Moving forward.
I don't love spending time talking about stuff that I hate. Really,
Right.
you know.
And
I would rather celebrate the things that it's like that line in Last Jedi, not killing what we hate, but saving what we love, that kind of thing. I don't know. Something like that. That makes sense in my brain. But yeah, I agree with you about Secret Invasion. But also, I also agree with you about pivoting to a new character. Now, this is something that kind of goes against things that I've said in the past about like, again, going back to like they leave themselves wiggle room so they can change their minds about things. I would love them to just like write a thing and like stick to it, because sometimes they change their minds or they get obsessed with their release dates or whatever, that they rewrite movies to make sure that they're fitting in a certain way when it just doesn't feel like it's working anymore. Like we've talked about this before. But in this case, they're coming off a lackluster Phase 4 and a currently lackluster Phase 5. A lot of people, not just you and I, Steve, people that were less sick of the MCU after going into Phase 4 than you and I were, are now on the same page as us, is like, yo, you got to turn this around. You got to do something. I saw, speaking of year-end worst lists, which again, I don't like, but I think IGN said like biggest letdowns of 2023, and one of them was just the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole, not even one specific movie or show. And I see where they're coming from with that for sure. Yeah. So I think in this case,
outside of Guardians of the Galaxy, there wasn't a movie that got put out that wasn't like straight up middle of the pack.
Yeah,
at best.
Agreed. Yeah, at best. So I think in this case, if they need to shoot some new life into the MCU, which I think that they do, and they need to find a way to reinvigorate themselves and also the audience to come back. I think pivoting away from what they were doing is a good idea, because whatever they were doing wasn't hitting.
I think we've talked about it, though. The only thing that's going to do that is the X-Men.
The most likely thing to do that, I think, is the X-Men.
Right, outside of like a random hit out of the park, which we've seen they can do, but has been few and far between recently.
Yeah, like if Thunderbolts happens to be a great, incredible film, I'm not holding my breath. I'm not saying it's going to be bad, but like I don't think Thunderbolts is going to save the MCU. What's that?
If Thunderbolts happens, and it's a great movie.
Yeah. But I mean, Fantastic Four has the possibility, but we talked about recently also has the possibility to, have audiences not interested in another Fantastic Four movie after seeing 3 bad ones. Right. But X-Men has the highest possibility, so we'll see. But we're saying Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom's more tied to Fantastic Four than X-Men or anything like that. So
and Doom will be or the 4 will be introduced. So there you go.
Yeah. But Doom is also a character I feel like
Doom crosses boundaries.
Yes.
Like Doom can be
he can be an Avengers
villain. To quote Thanos, Doom is inevitable. Like he's everywhere. He's fought the X-Men, he's fought the 4,
Avengers,
he's fought the Avengers. Like he'll fight anyone. He's Doom.
Yeah, for sure. And also he's never been like really mined as a character as much as he could have been to make him be actually like more interesting, more than just like a maniacal shaking fist mustache twirler, in those movies. So like if they do him justice, then he is the kind of character that can appeal to audiences for sure. Like another Loki or another Thanos.
So here's a stupid. I'm going to give you a full stupid here.
Okay.
End of Secret Wars. Doom wins Phase 6.
Part 1?
No. Part 2.
Oh, just total. Okay.
Phase 6 is Wastelanders.
Ooh. Wow. Do you think it could get more than one movie out of Wastelanders, though, without people getting bored?
I mean, we've seen a multitude of, audio dramas out of it and comics out of it.
That's true. That's true.
So, but yeah, no, I that's why I said full stupid. Like, I know it's a bad idea for them, but I would love to see a Wastelanders movie. Like, Logan was as close as we come.
Yeah.
And that was amazing.
I would definitely take at least one movie that was like Mad Max Fury Road, but with the Avengers. That would be awesome.
Mad Max may come up later in the podcast.
Oh, it might. For sure it might.
So.
All right.
So yeah, out of the Marvel.
That's the Marvel. Let's move to the DC. And the only DC stuff is just some little nuggets of information from Mr. James Gunn himself on social media. He's been using Threads a lot lately, which I like because I've been using Threads a lot lately. He's given a few crumbs of knowledge regarding plans for the DCU. First of all, being the Creature Commandos, the first entry in his DCU, will be coming out in the back half of 2024. Somebody asked him if it's going to come out in early or late 2024. He said later.
Okay.
Assuming that's going to be the back half of the year. It's a bummer for me. I was hoping that we were going to get like a February or March release because I am gung-ho about that show, but I can wait. Again,
we're going to wait until the entire slate of stupid superhero stuff comes out and then try and cleanse it with Creature Commandos.
Yeah, just let it go. Let it go. Exactly. Like this is like actually really, I know I've said this before, but the gap of time between the death of the DCEU and Superman Legacy and all the James Gunn, Peter Safran new stuff is like just the best thing they have going for them at this point for sure. Like let people forget, let people want more DC movies. And then not only do you hit them with something, I mean, hopefully good, but also, you know, goddamn Superman. So that'll hopefully be a big shot in the arm. And hopefully that's a big shot in the arm for the comic book movie genre in general.
Now, since this is our year end, I am going to requote my thoughts that the 2024 slate of superhero movies, primarily led by Sony, is going to taint even further the general populace's thoughts on superhero movies and ultimately may screw over Marvel and DC because they're not putting stuff out. Deadpool may help that. Creature Commandos may help that. But ultimately, I feel that it will be a negative connotation in the general sphere. Also, that similar to what we talked about with my thoughts on Fantastic Four, not bringing the panache that it used to.
Not a guaranteed hit. Yeah.
That I also have that feeling for Superman, and that Superman Legacy may not live up to expectations from the general populace solely because Superman hasn't been in the cultural zeitgeist for how long? Like, yeah, we've had some like Superman and Lois and TV shows and that, but like, you know, the kids these days, like, would be more apt to see like when you think of superhero, they think of Batman and Spidey. They don't think of Superman.
You're not completely wrong, but I'm not
sure Sam
ready.
Does, but...
What's that?
I said I'm sure Sam does, but
well, yeah, of course, Sam, my son does, yeah, but I think a lot of kids still do.
Yeah,
I think there's more power there than maybe.
I think there's
immediately evident.
Like there's definitely some latent energy there. It's just a matter of whether they can actually tap it or not.
But it's also that like it all depends on the tone of this movie and the look of it and the feel of it. Because Man of Steel, I like Man of Steel.
Yeah,
I like that a lot. But it was a muted color palette. It was a much darker, grittier Superman. Mm-hmm. It's not a Superman movie that I would necessarily want to take an 8-year-old kid to, 8 or 9-year-old kid, for sure. But if James Gunn can make a Superman movie that appeals to a wider audience and really speaks to the character of Superman, then they don't, if they need, then they need to market it towards that.
Yeah.
And then I think it could be massive. It has the potential to be massive. But I also agree with you. I also agree with what you said. I think it's all going to come down to marketing and feel and like the look and the hype that they can build around it. But I think there's going to be a pretty good amount of hype, especially from like people that are in the sphere like you and me. We're all going to want to see it no matter what, for sure. It's fucking Superman, you know? So like, that's a big deal.
Yep.
We're all going to see it. And then I think I said this before, but like my mom wants to see a new Superman movie. You know what I mean? Like there's people way older than us that are like, oh yeah, hell yeah. Superman. Great. Like I'm not into comics, but I know Superman. I'll go see Superman. Where's Superman been? So, I don't think it's definitely not as much of a risk as if they started with like a live action Creature Commandos movie or something. That would be insane. I think it's less of a risk than starting a cinematic universe with an Iron Man movie. To be honest with you, you know, like no one gave a shit about Iron Man. Well, people actively hated Iron Man.
Nobody actively created a cinematic universe with an Iron Man movie, though. Like Marvel stumbled into it. because
they
of
threw
an
that
Iron Man movie.
they threw that post-credit scene in there because they knew what they wanted to get to someday. They were like, let's see how it goes. And let's see what we can do.
I mean, they threw it in as a maybe. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It worked out.
It did.
But it worked out.
Ultimately, here we are.
Yeah.
20 years later,
Right.
talking about nerd stuff still, which I'm not going to complain about.
Yeah,
Things I
no,
might
either.
complain about or might not complain about are what gun dropped next. That the Green Lantern suit will not be CGI.
Why would you complain about that?
Have you
Did
seen
you
the
prefer
other
the-
one? No, I said I wasn't going to complain that it was not CGI. There were too many negatives in there, I think.
Okay, yeah.
I might have added an extra negative. I do not want that.
Okay, yeah.
I don't want the.
No. Yeah, I think someone asked them about the Green Lantern show where Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner Green Lantern costume in Superman Legacy. Will it be CGI like the terrible Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie? Classically had a CGI suit, and when they announced that, I remember I was not like fully turned off by that. I was like, oh wow, no, that's like it's an alien suit. They can make it look different than like regular clothing. Then great, but then it just kind of looked like shit. And James Gunn responded to this person and said something like, I would never put a CGI suit on any character that wasn't a CGI character or something like that. Like perfectly sensical way to respond to that. So that's good. And speaking of suits, someone asked him when we would see the Superman suit. He said, will we see the Superman suit before March 2024? And he said, the question was, what are the chances that we'll see a picture of the Superman suit before March? And James Gunn responded saying 0.0. And then someone else responded to that saying, so what? You're just gonna like let some paparazzi take a bad photo, and that's the way you want that suit revealed to the world? And he responded to that person saying like, well, we don't shoot for over 2 months, so there's no way anyone's gonna see it before March.
Right.
I guess just not possible.
Unless they're there on the first day of shooting, it's not happening.
Yeah, exactly. I'm confident that he's smart enough to release a publicity photo like before they start filming anything outside or anything with the suit at all. Like here
as soon as Corn Sweat does a screen test with that suit on,
bam,
take a snap and get it out there.
Yeah, exactly. The last thing I thought was very interesting. He referred to famed comic book writer Tom King. Tom King, known for an up and down Batman run, but doing everything great. He did an incredible Vision miniseries at Marvel. He's done an absolutely all-timer home run story for Mr. Miracle at DC. He's also done one of my favorite comic books of the year, not to spoil anything for later, but Human Target. Just
Strange
some
Adventures.
Really great runs. Strange Adventures, another one of my favorite books.
Didn't he have a decent Nightwing run too?
What's that?
Didn't he have a Nightwing run? Or am I thinking of Tom Taylor?
You're thinking of Tom Taylor. Easy, classic mix up there. But he also wrote Superman Woman of Tomorrow, which they've announced that they're making a movie called Superman Woman of Tomorrow. And James Gunn referred to Tom King as, he said, Tom is an integral part of the DCU, not just with Woman of Tomorrow. He's one of the first people I showed the Superman script, asking for notes. He's included in various ways in numerous other projects, including Woman of Tomorrow. And I just think that's super cool. That this guy's a great writer. He really understands these characters, like few others. So yeah, get him involved, especially if he wrote the book that you're basing an entire movie on.
He did do a Nightwing run in 2014 for the record.
Oh, he did? Oh, okay. Sorry. I didn't know that. I want to read. Oh, no. Yeah, yes. Was that when? Was it Grayson or was it Nightwing?
He did Nightwing Volume 2 and Grayson with Tim Seeley.
Okay, yeah. Okay, he must have done the run to Grayson
Seeley.
as well. I forgot he did the Grayson run.
So yeah. I don't think any of us are not excited about that because Tom King always does good things. Mr. Miracle is literally the book that got me into DC.
Yeah,
you were like, no, you have to read this, and I was like, yes, I did.
Yeah, it's so good, so good.
And Human Target was amazing. So,
did you read Human Target?
I read
half of it,
good chunk of it.
Oh man, yeah.
I think I had floppies through like 4 or 5, maybe.
Nice.
So,
yeah, so good. You should finish it.
It was one of those where actually, you know what happened? That was between switching polls and things got weird.
Yeah. Yep. I get it. Well, Steve, I saw, speaking of DC and DC movies, I saw a movie this past week.
You did.
That marks the end of the Detective Comics extended universe, DCEU. I saw
Brian in
Aquaman.
the chat also saw this movie.
I know he did. I know he did. I saw Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And this is a movie that I was told by a mutual friend of ours, Steve, before I went to see it, that it was the possibly the worst comic book adaptation of anything that this person had ever seen ever.
I think Brian in the chat would also agree with you after I talked to him the other night about it.
He might. I think to anyone, here's what I gotta say. Anyone listening, anyone watching that thinks Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is the worst comic book movie they've ever seen, raise your hand. Okay. Hands up.
I can't because I haven't seen it.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm doing this for everyone listening at home with their hands in the air. Now keep your hands up if you've seen the first Aquaman. Okay. Lots of you. Okay, great. Now keep your hands up if you also think the first Aquaman is the worst comic book thing you've ever seen. Okay. If your hand's still up, then yes, you are completely entitled to that opinion. If your hand went down because you thought Aquaman was good and you don't like Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, I don't understand you. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is an exact sequel to Aquaman. It's the same movie with a different story. It's just, I mean, it looks the same. The dialogue is the same. Actually, dialogue's 10 to 15% better, I would think. It's a deeply flawed movie with bad dialogue and a nonsensical plot with super dope visuals and awesome action scenes that looks great and is fun to look at. That's my opinion. That's my review of Aquaman, and that's my review of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. To me, it was just like the same. It was just more of the same. If you liked Aquaman, you'll like Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. I don't understand this. I don't understand the hate. I guess the only thing I can think of is
this is a movie that got I don't take Rotten Tomatoes for much, but I got a 36 on the tomato meter.
No, I know.
Like
I know. I can only speak my own opinions, Steve.
Oh,
I know
100%.
the Rotten Tomato score.
It just boggles my mind that like I as someone who talks to people that have seen movies and such in the vein, you are literally the only person I've talked to that has enjoyed it, which is what kept me from going to see it this weekend because I had time and I was I don't want to.
I went with 3 other people and we were all on the exact same page about it. We were like, that was fun. That was bad. Like, it was dumb.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's great.
Oh,
I'm just saying it's not the worst thing ever. It's not terrible.
I'm now officially in for more movies this year.
Oh, hell yeah. Look at that.
My wife got me the movie bucket at Movie Tavern, or the popcorn bucket at Movie Tavern for Christmas.
I got to get one of those.
So
sounds awesome. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I would say. Like, the only thing I can think of is that, like, if you saw Aquaman and you were like, meh, and then you went to see the sequel and you were expecting, maybe you thought like, okay, they learn what they did wrong on the first movie and they're going to make it better in the second movie. I can see you being
like a rational human being would expect.
Well, yeah, but isn't it also rational to think like, okay, they made this movie and the same team is making this next movie, and I've seen the trailers, so it seems like it's going to be exactly like the first movie. That's how I went into it. My expectations
might have been so low that
not even low. I was expecting Aquaman,
right?
And that's what I got. I think Aquaman is better, maybe a little bit, but this isn't like too much lower than Aquaman in my DCEU rankings. Right. I don't know, man. I think Black Manta is cool as hell. Super cool looking design. He's badass. I love that villain. Like, I'm kind of bummed that, like, there's no way that we're going to see another Aquaman in James Gunn's DCU for like a while, right? Like, we're not going to see another Aquaman. We're not going to see another Flash for like a really long time, I think. And that's a bummer to me because I just like looking at Black Manta. Like, I think that dude is super
movie
badass.
That will not show up later in the podcast.
Yeah. Anyway, it's not like it's not a great movie. But like, if you went in expecting it to be The Dark Knight, then I don't know what to tell you. It was like, that was just never gonna happen. I went in expecting it to be Aquaman.
Here we go.
And I
Mike,
had a fun time.
We're putting you on the spot here.
Okay.
Aquaman and Flash, which was the better?
Flash.
Okay. And
wait, Aquaman or Aquaman 2? Oh, yeah. Flash. Yeah.
The 2 that came out this year. Okay. And most people consider the Flash to be on the lower tier of all superhero movies, which...
But again, that's another thing I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand that either. Like Flash is decent. The effects at the end of that movie are bad, but the Flash is a decent movie. Flash isn't a bad movie. I don't think.
Yeah, similar to Aquaman.
You can fight me on that too.
I thought it was
but
fine.
yeah, you didn't hate the Flash. You thought it was fine.
I didn't despise it. I would have given it a solid 5 out of 10.
Yeah, not one of the worst comic movies I've ever seen.
We're not in Fantastic Four level. No.
Exactly. Yeah, we're not on Batman and Robin level.
Joel Schumacher did not make this movie.
There's plenty of other movies. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
We've talked about what's supposedly a shitty movie. Should we shift over to really good things from this past year?
Sure. I was trying to think if there was anything that I actually wanted to say about Aquaman 2 specifically. I thought Amber Heard was in it way more than I expected her to be. Like, I thought she was going to be in
that she was in like none of it.
I thought she was going to be in like 30 seconds of it.
Yeah.
And there's definitely times when it's clear, like at the beginning, they're setting up the whole like family dynamic with like Aquaman and his like infant son and stuff. And she's like not in any of those scenes.
Oh,
which is
I
weird because she's like the mother.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's weird that I felt her not being there. But then for the rest of the movie, she like showed up quite a bit. So I
have a question. Since we talked about it, did they go there?
No.
Okay.
No. One thing I didn't like about it is that they really didn't go there, like with anybody.
Right.
So I was kind of like, what?
Yep.
What the hell?
Happens.
I think like the very end of this movie, bizarre way to end this film. I'm just gonna say it, I guess. Like he says, like he's giving Atlantis like announces itself to the world. That's like a fine way to end the movie, right? Because like they don't know,
right?
And he's like giving a speech like at the UN. Well, like Jason Momoa, very miscast as Aquaman. I think like he looks badass, great, but as soon as you make him the king of Atlantis, he does not belong in that role at all, which they do acknowledge in the movie.
Yeah,
that he's like not good at it and he hates doing it. I'm like, thank God they're saying this because I do not believe that he's the king of anything.
He was a great cast for like generic man Arthur Curry,
the version of Aquaman that wants nothing to do with leading anything, or like great. Yes, but as soon as he's sitting on a throne making like policy decisions, I was like, I don't buy this at all. But then he like announces himself and he says like, we are Atlantis and I am whatever, and he says, I don't know if it was like a reference to Iron Man, but he ends it by saying, I am Aquaman, which you think is going to be the end, but then he just goes wahoo and like walks off screen and then the credits come up. It was like a very strange ending to the film. I will say I laughed out loud genuinely. Like it made me laugh quite a bit. Like I thought it was very funny. Like there's a lot of great interaction with him and Patrick Wilson playing his brother. Very funny stuff between the two of them. Like I said, it's not terrible. It's not great. It's barely good. I'll say this, when it's bad, it's fun bad to me.
Okay.
Maybe it wasn't for other people. But like when it was bad, my friends and I were laughing. We were like, I can't believe how stupid this is. Yeah. But sometimes the stupid is also good. I don't know. It's like a movie. It like knows what it is, I guess. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I think it knows that it's goofy. And it's like, fine, well, this will be dumb, but we'll do it anyway.
Okay.
I don't know.
Let's pivot to movies that we know.
Yeah, let's move on. All right. You want to do some superlatives?
I think so. Because we had a whole year. We're almost at the point we've had a whole year. We if something drops tomorrow, that's amazing. We reserve the right. We 100% reserve the right to include it in the list posthumously. However,
agreed.
As of 12:30:23 at 10:18 at night,
Steve and I have each picked our favorite movie, our favorite TV show, and our favorite comic. Mm-hmm. I'm sure we both have some runners up in there as well.
Yeah.
I'll say that we talked about it before. We're specifically naming like genre nerdy comic book movie stuff.
Right.
Like
so
we're not saying
movie wise.
Like we're not like Oppenheimer is not going to be in there.
Right.
Or Killers of the Flower Moon is probably the best movie I saw this year. I'm not picking that as my number one for this specific instance. And we talked before, we're like, does Barbie count? Barbie's like right on the edge because like Barbie would be possibly it for me, but like, is it there? So I don't know. We said no. Barbie, we're trying to stick with like comic or video game based whatever stuff, kind of.
Yep.
You know what I mean. You guys know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, Steve, 2023.
Oh, also, for the record, we have not talked
Okay.
to each other about this at all.
No, I don't know Steve's list. He does
These
not know
are
mine.
completely independent.
Yes. 2023. What was your favorite movie? Comic book nerd movie, 2023.
For me, there was
think I know.
absolutely zero question. Mike, what do you think it was?
I think it was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Absolutely. There was
Yes.
no it's funny because I was writing the list up and it didn't even cross my mind. I was like,
Yeah.
I had like Guardians and the D&D movie and Ninja Turtles and all these others. I'm like,
Yep.
all right,
Yeah.
scratching through like what came out, what's going on, and then I started going through the Rolodex. I'm like, oh well, shit. I didn't have to do any of that. Like Spider-Verse came out, so
Yeah,
that was it.
Spider-Verse. Yeah, exactly.
Sold.
Yeah, for sure. That was definitely my list. It probably would have been my number one.
Yep.
But I knew it was going to be your. And so just so we could talk about two different things.
Yep.
My number one, I chose Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. No, I'm just kidding. I just wanted to give Brian in the chat a heart attack. My number one, I chose. Sorry. So I had Spider-Verse as a runner-up. I also had. We're going to do runner-ups after we say our number one?
Yeah. I'd
Okay.
say. That's
I
the easiest
put
way
my
to
number
do it.
one as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Okay.
I have as my number one.
I did not expect that. I thought you
Um,
would have had a late comer that moved into that number one slot a couple weeks ago.
Did I forget about a movie that came out?
Godzilla -1.
That's a runner-up for me.
Okay,
It's a runner-up.
that's what I had
That's on my-
expected was your number one. The way you were talking about it, so
No. I love Godzilla -1.
Yep.
Didn't make me cry. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 made me cry.
yes,
Uh,
will confirm
and-
that did. Yes,
Yeah. And just I just thought everything about it was great. I
it
need
was
to
so
watch it again.
good.
I haven't watched it again. It's just such a great capping to that trilogy, and the way Gunn was able to take the storylines that he didn't write for his characters,
Yeah.
but weave them back together in a way that still like brought this like emotional payoff and pathos to these characters that he really shepherded the entire way along. It just really knocked me out, and all the stuff with Rocket. I don't know, like the effects
Yeah.
were great, the writing was
Story
great,
was
soundtrack was
awesome.
great, it looked incredible. So if it's not going to be Spider-Verse for me, it's going to be Guardians.
right. And Spider-Verse
Sure.
did what? So we have Guardians that was the perfect capstone to a trilogy, and Spider-Verse who did the Empire Strikes Back thing, where
Yeah.
it's this middle piece of a trilogy, and the story's not over.
Right.
And it leaves you on a cliffhanger, but it still like closes some things up and leaves it in a spot where you need to come back for more, but was a good movie
Yeah.
in its own right.
Right. And it also introduces new ideas
Yeah.
to the thing that you didn't know about, which is again another Empire Strikes Back comparison,
Right.
where Empire like blows up like light side versus dark side and force ghosts and levitating things with your head and with your mind or whatever, and
Mhm.
like all this kind of like lore, Luke, I'm your father. This kind of like lore is really built up, where in Spider-Verse we get like, oh, the canon event thing, and Captain Stacy always dies, and like
Yep.
things like this. Why wasn't Miles invited to join the society or whatever? Oh, because he's the original anomaly or whatever. So all this kind of stuff, it takes on the genius first part and expands on it.
Yep.
In a way that does nothing but add to the lore and the universe and the story that's being told. I will say, I recently rewatched Spider-Verse or Spider-Man Across Spider-Verse.
Yep.
That's a long movie.
It is longer than I
And-
expected it to be.
It does a lot in that time. I'm watching that movie. I don't know one thing that should be cut out of that movie. I think it completely earns its runtime, and it uses every minute of that.
Mm.
Like no time is wasted. It's perfectly done. It completely earns its runtime.
Yep.
But it's still too long. It's
It's
too long.
Probably about
Like
I would say it's like 20 minutes. Like it's not a
Yeah, I
crazy
think it's-
amount. It's like one story, like one side.
even if it was like
spurt,
10,
cut.
like cut 10 minutes out of
Yeah.
that movie, and it's way better for me. And again, I think it's incredible. I think it's a 5-star film.
Yeah.
But it's just too long. Like, I love every second of it,
Yeah.
but it's too long. It's too long. Like, maybe trim the fight scenes or something. Like,
Yeah.
But too long.
So honorable mentions.
Yeah, for you.
So I mentioned like Guardians was in the honorable mentions.
Sure.
D&D, Honor Amongst Thieves, was
Yeah,
probably
man.
right up there for me. Like it was.
Yeah, man.
Until that was probably going to be my winner until I remembered Across the Spider-Verse. Mostly because I figured we would talk about Guardians.
Yeah.
Like Guardians was probably my second favorite movie, but it was kind of doing that thing that you were doing of like, it's probably going to get brought up, so I'll hedge my bet somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then like Ninja Turtles and Mario came out this year. Like animation was big this year.
Mario wouldn't be a runner-up for me, but Ninja Turtles definitely would be a runner-up.
Yeah,
that movie rules.
I don't think Mario was in the same category, but like I just wanted to bring it up because animated nerd movies were huge this year.
Yes, yeah, those
like,
three alone.
Mario grossed over $1 billion as an animated film.
Insane.
Nuts.
Yeah. So yeah, my Spider-Verse, Godzilla -1. I thought about the Dungeons and Dragons movie because I really like that movie a lot. If I do have another honorable mention, I'm gonna spin way in the other direction and say, because this is a tangent topic that we only talk about when I really want to talk about it. Horror, Evil Dead Rise.
I was gonna say
movie.
that came across my thoughts too of like, that was pretty good, but Mike's probably gonna bring it up.
Yeah. Again, we don't really dive too deep into horror stuff, but
it's adjacent.
Adjacently, and Steve and I are both fans of the Evil Dead franchise, at least. So
that really, I think it was only like a month or two ago that I watched it. It was like,
oh no,
that's purely an Evil Dead movie.
Yeah, and you know what? It's probably my least favorite Evil Dead movie, but it still rules.
Yeah, it's still a great movie.
Yes, it's like Evil Dead just never misses.
Yeah,
everything's great. Everything is good. If you like one of them, you'll like all of them.
Absolutely.
All right, so TV show. Steve, this category made me realize I don't watch very many TV shows because it was hard for me to think of the shows that I even watched that were like in this category of like nerdery. Like my wife and I just recently finally finished the season 3 of Only Murders in the Building, which I think is an incredible show.
Yep.
It's possibly my favorite show that I've seen this year, but it doesn't really fit in this genre of stuff. And I was like, what else have I even watched? I don't even know. But I thought of a couple. But I'll let you go first, Steve, because you went first on movie. 2023 best TV show. I know it wasn't Secret Invasion, but what was it?
There was actually no second thought in my brain. The Last of Us.
The Last of Us. Not what I expected you to say at all, Stephen Haller. Wow. The Last of Us.
I think the thing you thought I was going to say will end up being yours, but it was a very close second. But Last of Us just like, and both of us played the original game.
Yeah,
they did justice to one of my favorite pieces of art in any way, shape, or form of all time. Mm-hmm. Made a compelling series that my wife, who couldn't give two flying shits about zombie anything, absolutely was on the seat of her pants for the entire run of.
Yeah.
And like found a way to take for what has been horrible video game adaptations of anything for years.
Right.
And actually, like, I was worried when I heard The Last of Us was being made into a show.
Sure.
I was legitimately like, they're going to ruin it.
Like, I knew it was a good idea, but I also thought it was going to be bad.
Yeah. Similar to the Mario movie. I'm like, why? What are they going to do? And then they made a decent movie out of it. Right. But like The Last of Us just hit and met and exceeded every expectation I had for it.
Yeah.
Whereas, we'll talk about it in runners up, but.
Well, Steve, my favorite TV thing, maybe this is recency bias.
Yeah.
Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials.
Okay.
Not what you thought I was going to say.
No. But I'd assume our second runners up is the same.
My very close honorable mention or runner up, Star Wars Ahsoka.
Yes.
Yeah. And I honestly, for me, it very well might be recency bias. I haven't watched the Christmas special yet that I know is out on Disney Plus, but those 3 specials, again, I talked about it recently, just reinvigorated my love for a show that I thought I would never love like that again. And that is a feeling that is rare to find. And Ahsoka, although I love that show, it was Star Wars. And I have always loved Star Wars, and I know I will love Star Wars. And so it was just like it was a different
that's what
experience.
I fell into the same, like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, where I was like, I mean, I legit, like, emotionally was moved numerous times. If you ask me the best episode of TV that came out this year, episode 5 of Ahsoka, hands down. There is no question in my mind.
Episode 3 of Last of Us, hands down.
Okay, yeah, shit.
Hands down.
Can we flip a coin?
I hadn't thought of that until you said.
Yeah,
like,
I hadn't thought
how
of that either
it
until
was for me when you said best episode. I immediately thought of that. Like there was no question, no question for me. I hadn't thought of it for 2 seconds before you said that.
Such a good episode of
so
television.
Good. God.
Yeah.
But no,
all right, yeah.
Ahsoka's great. Ahsoka's incredible. I can't wait to rewatch it. Like I think did I say on this podcast or just tell you? Like I recently rewatched Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
I loved it so much more than I thought I remembered liking it, and because I watched it in rapid succession, because that should have been a movie. And I'm wondering if I'll have the same effect for Ahsoka. Like, and that's a show that I really loved when it was on the air,
right?
When I was watching it week to week. So I can only imagine that I will love it even more if I rewatch it. So, but I think it was just the fact that it wasn't something that I wasn't surprised by Ahsoka, I guess. Like I was like, this is going to be good. And it was good.
Right.
And
it was more of
it did things that I thought they were going to do.
Yeah.
Finding Ezra, that kind of stuff. Like,
see, and I think that's why I ended up going Last of Us, was like, it surprised me more than it should have. Whereas Ahsoka was exactly what I wanted and expected.
Yes. And like, exactly.
It moved things along. Like, I got to see Grand Admiral Thrawn in live fucking action. Ezra Bridger.
It's awesome.
Ezra Bridger, Ahsoka Tano, everybody in live action.
Yeah.
Multiple versions of Ahsoka Tano. We get to see Ahsoka and
we saw a live
Anakin.
action Clone Wars.
Right. Like
Hayden
Captain Rex
Christensen.
in the flesh.
Yeah. As Vader and as Anakin. It was great. It was great. But Doctor Who more. Right. I don't know. Like, yeah. Doctor Who knocked me out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Ahsoka is a very close runner-up.
Yes,
very close.
100%. Other
and also like
for me.
Say it. Go ahead.
Keep going if you got something.
Oh, I was just gonna say like the Star Wars stuff that we're gonna get in 2024, like Skeleton Crew and the Acolyte. Those are things that could very well surprise us because we do not know much about either of those things at all.
Right. Even as someone who's following the High Republic, I don't like the Acolyte is still a mystery.
Yeah. So those are things that could maybe shock us in a way that, you know, lends itself to be a more memorable or a more standout experience from watching those things that might end up being number one next year on 2024's wrap up. So, so what were your honorable mentions for TV show?
Star Trek Strange New World Season 2 was awesome.
Yeah. Awesome.
And it maybe recency bias because I just watched the last episode a couple hours ago, but holy shit, Monarch is great.
Oh man, I forgot. I got to watch that.
Yeah. It's great.
The whole thing is out?
No, there's 2 more episodes.
Oh, damn. Okay, I got to watch
that. So you got 2 weeks to like work your way, like work through half of it, you're good for the finale.
Thank you for the reminder. I kind of forgot that show was happening
because
I don't have Apple TV, but
they're doing it very, very good.
Awesome. The whole like father-son playing the same character thing that's like working really well. Okay, good.
Yeah, that's eerie and great.
Awesome.
Because the two of them really do like. Wyatt doesn't have enough Goldie Hawn in him. Like he looks just like Kurt.
Good.
Yeah.
It works then.
Oh, it works perfect.
The same person. Awesome.
So,
is it super scary?
No, I mean,
no,
it's tense.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's not like overtly like, we're not like jump scare horror type stuff. It's
I'm just wondering if I could have my wife watch it with me.
Probably. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Like mine would not care one iota, but yours might.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Give it a shot, maybe. See what she's up to.
Because it is a compelling character narrative too. It's not just that. That's the thing is the Titans, as they're referred to.
Yes.
Are like they're present,
right?
But they're not like. There's a couple of very tense moments around them emerging, and when they do, holy shit! But
yeah,
like Godzilla's in this show.
Right. He's in the show. Yeah.
So
awesome.
Yeah, it's good, and he's not.
Wow,
like,
cool, man.
There's a multitude of Titans that are referenced, so it's nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, I got to dive into that.
Yep.
That'll be my January television thing.
Well worth it.
Cool. Awesome. All right, comics. This was tough for me. For sure.
I had about 5 on the list, and I don't think you would think any of them would be where my peak would be.
Really?
Well, no, you would expect one. My number one,
Okay.
you definitely would. I don't know if you'd get it, but you would understand.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to. I hadn't thought about this until right now, but now I'm trying to guess what your number one comic would be.
It is not from the big two.
Okay, then I might be right. Is it? Tell me if I'm wrong. I won't be mad. Is it The Hunger in the Dusk?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Nailed
Episode 4 or issue 4 just came out a couple weeks ago. G. Willow Wilson and Chris Wildgoose are finding a way to push a narrative in a familiar world that is like twisting it on its head a little, and especially after issue 4 is extremely compelling. And I'm a sucker for like the high fantasy tropes of orcs and humans and the whole nine.
Yeah.
So it really is driving right into my wheelhouse, and
nice.
It's been a breath of fresh air after even I am enjoying Fall of X. Everything I'm reading from Fall of X, like Uncanny Spider-Man, taking Kurt in new directions I didn't expect him to go.
Mm-hmm.
There's some good writing going on in that whole thing, but any of the things on my list elevated above any of the X books.
Nice. Wow.
Wow.
What issue are they on right now? 4.
Yep,
okay. So
4.
they're not close to like a trade.
No, probably another 2 before thinking about a trade.
All right.
Usually
I may have to
it'd be a
borrow
6.
some of those issues from you because
why
I just keep
would
hearing
you?
how great it is.
Why would you need to do that, Mike?
I don't know. I just might want to bone up on Hunger in the Dusk. No reason.
More news coming probably next week.
Coming in January.
Yeah.
My God. Okay. My number one, very tough for me. But going along the same lines as we were talking about television being surprised by something.
Mm-hmm.
My number one is Dwellings by Jay Stevens. Looks like
this is a weird coincidence, Stu.
Looks like a cute little Dexter's Laboratory cartoon, and then is a harrowing, horrible horror story on the inside once you start reading it. The design of the characters, the design of the book, the fake advertisements in the middle of the pages, just
so
everything is so perfect. Everything is executed perfectly. The book that you hold in your hands exists in a world other than the world that we exist in. Like there's no advertisements for, like it says Oni Press or whatever at the top,
and that's the only thing tying
it
to
it. There's no other
616.
ads. Yes, there's no ads for other books. There's no ads for movies or anything. It's just like this is a piece of something from another universe where everyone looks like a cartoon character and horrible things happen all the time. I just picked up issue 4. I haven't read it yet. I'm excited to read it. Sorry, 3.
Yes, because I just did too.
Yes, sorry, it's 3. Yeah.
The only reason I know is because I put it on my shelf next to the other 2.
Yeah. Issue 3 just came out. I haven't read it yet, but it's just so good and it's so fun.
Yeah, I'm halfway through 2, I think.
Yeah. I can't recommend it enough. If you like any kind of if you're just like dipping your toe into the horror thing, like it's great. It's such a good read. It's so fun. Close second is Tom King and Greg Smallwood's Human Target, previously mentioned on the podcast. That was a book that was just probably the most gorgeous book that I read all year. The art on that book is phenomenal. The story is great. The way that it weaves into the Justice League International characters is just really, really well done. Tom King really kind of knocks it out of the park. Also, I have to give shouts out to Poison Ivy from G. Willow Wilson, continuing to crush it on Poison Ivy. I've almost like stopped pulling that book just because I'm trying to like not pull too many books anymore. But then I read the next Poison Ivy and I'm like, oh, I can't stop pulling this. It's so good. It's so good. It wins me back every single time. And also the new Kelly Thompson Birds of Prey, I think, is just completely knocking it out of the park on every issue. The new Birds of Prey run is so good. It's so good. It's so fun. It looks incredible. It reads incredible. It's so fun and so great. I can't recommend it enough. So those are my runner-ups, but number one, I took it to Dwellings because I did not know what I was getting into when I read that book, and it completely blew my mind and knocked me out. So Dwellings, Jay Stevens.
Similar vein.
World Tree. I just finished the.
I just finished
I bought the trade. I finished the trade the other day. Yeah.
Yep. Wow. So I just finished up number 5. Is that I can't remember whether the trade was 5 or 6, but just finished up number 5, and it's like, huh. Okay. Like Tinian always just keeps you moving and thinking and subverting expectations, but not in an overtly like you expected him to subvert them that way kind of way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Is number 5, does it kind of end the one storyline and jump to somewhere else? Or did I ruin it? Issue 6?
I think it ends there's a culmination or like a cliffhanger that feels like it could be the end of a arc.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. That's how I felt too.
So my other in my top 5 that I wrote down, there's only one Big 2 book, and it's not what you think. Well, no, there's 2. Never mind. I lied.
Okay.
Other honorable mentions were Transformers.
Oh, yeah.
Because
that was a great book.
I did not know I could care about Transformers again.
Yeah. I didn't know you started reading it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. It's great. It's so good. Same.
Well, it's one of those where I picked up the number 1, and then I walked into the shop, and I was like, I've got the 1. I should probably grab the 2 because I've heard good things.
Yeah.
And then I actually read it, and I'm like, holy shit, now I get why everybody's singing its praises.
Yeah. So good.
Starscream is freaking brutal in that.
Yes. Yes. Yes, he is.
That's what kind of got me, was like...
Yeah. Horrible. Yeah.
Boom. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Batman City of Madness.
Oh, damn.
Which was a review from Jesse that I was like, holy shit, this is great. Like, this is just a completely pants on head tale of what's going on. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's wild.
And then the only Marvel is not an X title, but The Incredible Hulk.
Oh, yeah. You've been raving about that for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Philip Johnson is leading the run on that. And holy hell, it's great.
Wow.
So the Hulk just met up with a rider. Like,
Hulk
versus Ghost Rider.
Oh, damn. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Like visuals of Hulk versus Ghost Rider. Like, it's just great.
Wow.
Like, what?
That's dope.
There's multiple splash pages of the two of them fighting, and you're just like, okay, I'm fine. This is great. Life is good.
Oh, cool, man.
So
that's awesome. Who, not to put you on the spot, but who is writing The Incredible Hulk?
Philip Johnson, I believe. Hold on one second.
Okay. Holding while Steve checks for his book.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't realize there was a lot of dead air that I just left there. I was watching you. Like, I should say something.
Yeah, Philip Kennedy Johnson, Nick Klein on the art, and Matt Wilson on the colors. But, like, yeah, you're looking at, like, things like that.
Oh, damn. That is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm looking at, for those of you listening, I'm looking at a picture of Ghost Rider riding his flaming fire motorcycle over Hulk and like burning Hulk's face and upper chest with the wheel of his flaming motorcycle. It looks really badass.
So yeah,
Dope,
it's
dude.
it's been a solid round. There's 7 issues at this point, so a trade will be coming soon. But yeah, it's I've been pleasantly surprised.
That's
It's
awesome.
one of those
dude.
where I started pulling just on a whim. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll try this number 1 out.
Yeah,
I've never
love a good
really,
Hulk
I've
story.
never pulled a Hulk book, so I was like, ah, screw it, I'll grab the number 1. And I'm like, oh, it's like horror Hulk. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Like 2 issues ago, he was dealing with Man-Thing.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, I think Hulk is a horror character, or should be, and works really well when he is treated that way. Like that Immortal Hulk run, I read the first few issues of that. Like that was like a body horror kind of thing, which was great. It was fantastic. Like Hulk is like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Like lean into the scariness of becoming a monster that you cannot control. Like,
but for too often in the 90s and early 2000s, they didn't.
I know.
And it was
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
what do you do? I mean, hell, we've seen what they did with Thor in the 90s, but
right, yeah.
But yeah, like Hulk, Hulk went from a household name in the 70s with the TV show to like whatever happened in the 90s and early 2000s, and then now like between the Immortal run and the was it Ewing on the Immortal run, or did he ever run after?
I don't remember.
But either way, there's been like back to back runs where they're just nailing the feel for Hulk.
Yeah, agreed. So that's our best of 2023.
But I do have some more.
Oh, okay.
Because I know you're not a huge video gamer.
I'm not, but I have been playing quite a bit of video games since Christmas. But you go ahead. Yeah.
Figured I'd just throw out a nod for the 23 video game category. My brain went directly to Baldur's Gate 3 as the game of the year. Played that for a good long while. Very like, I think that game did more for D&D between that and the movie coming out. Did more for D&D this year than anything has done in years. But overall, awesome game, and this is a year where a new Zelda game came out. Super Mario Wonder came out. That was amazing. Spidey came out. Jedi Knight Survivor came out.
Yeah. I would say I'm in the middle. I'm not in the middle. I'm in the beginning of Spider-Man 2.
Yep.
And it is so awesome.
Oh, it's great.
It's so awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where I would go if I had to pick a best video game. Runner-up, Survivor.
Yeah.
And I throw Gotham Knights in there too, because I know that that had mixed reviews, but I had tons of fun playing that game. I thought that was great.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that one's sitting on my to install list on the PlayStation because they offered it for free on whatever their Game Pass thing is.
Oh, dope.
So
awesome.
I was like, yes, I will take that for free. That's a good free.
Absolutely. That's a good free. That's a really good free.
Now I did the Avengers game on free, and I played like an hour of that and was like, nope, this is not a good free.
Yeah, well, at least you didn't spend like $60 on it like I did.
And
then it was bad. Yeah, great. Anyway, that's our 2023 best of list. Let's take a look at things that are coming out in 2024.
For the record, if we missed anything egregiously, please let us know.
Tell us. If we forgot about some masterpiece that we should have mentioned, let us know. And continuing that, this list that I'm about to read of projects coming out in 2024, I'm sure that I missed a couple things that are relevant to our interests and the interests of our viewers and listeners. So if I forgot something, let me know. I think I hit all the big stuff. I even threw in some like stuff that we will definitely never talk about on this podcast. However, here is the list. It's quite a list. I don't think it's quite as long as last year's list because last year's list was huge. I went to the movies more times this summer than any other summer in my whole life. But
it did seem like you were there quite a bit.
But all right. This is not in release order. This is just in whatever order I wrote them down in.
So do we want to go? Do you want to run a list of? Or what are you doing? Like TV? Then
I'm going to write a list of
like
no. Everything's mixed together. I don't have them any kind of order. Just every project that's happening. It's not comics. It's all movies and television.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's why I'll say that. So okay, Marvel's Echo Star Wars Skeleton Crew, Agatha, The Darkhold Diaries, Godzilla Kong, The New Empire, The Penguin, X-Men 97, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, Season 2, Spidey and His Amazing Friends, Season 3, Stranger Things, the final season, Marvel's Eyes of Wakanda, new animated Black Panther show, just announced the other day, Madam Web, Steve's favorite, Rings of Power Season 2, Dune Part 2, Suicide Squad Isekai, The Boys Season 4, Umbrella Academy Season 4, My Adventures with Superman Season 2, Argyle, Dune Prophecy, Doctor Who, a new season of that show, Harley Quinn Season 5, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, Kung Fu Panda 4.
I want to see
Avatar.
Kung Fu Panda.
What's that?
I said I want to see Kung Fu Panda.
Kung Fu Panda, I would rather see for sure. Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action series. Invincible Season 2, Part 2. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Fallout. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Deadpool 3. Borderlands. Star Wars: The Acolyte. Alien: Romulus. Kraven the Hunter. Beetlejuice 2. Transformers 1. Joker: Folie à Deux. House of the Dragon Season 2. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Marvel Zombies. Karate Kid. Wolfman. Alien the Series. Creature Commandos. Venom 3. Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Lord of the Rings. War of the Rohirrim. And for all you parents out there, a new season of Bluey.
I may be more excited about that than my kid is.
I know, I think so. Me too.
And that's actually relatively quick. That's in January, I think.
That's in January, I think. Yeah, that's coming soon. Yeah.
All right. So after that, Mike.
That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff.
Give me your thoughts on a movie you're looking forward to.
A movie that I'm looking forward. I feel because it's interesting because I feel like the most stuff that I'm excited about actually this year is TV.
Which is
if
weird
I had to
because
say,
my movie list is longer than my TV list.
Really?
Mostly because I forgot about the Star Wars too, but
yeah,
that would bring them both to 5. But
if I had to say a movie,
Mhm.
I mean, Deadpool 3 is up there just because of all the rumors, all the craziness. It'd probably either go Deadpool 3 or, for me, new Alien movie, man.
Romulus.
Alien Romulus, I think, I gotta say. Those might be my 2 highest ones that I'm excited about.
Yeah. So both of those were on my list. What took the cake for me was Dune Part 2.
Yeah, that looks great. I saw the trailer before Aquaman. It was weird seeing Aquaman, by the way, and having trailers for 0 other superhero movies.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know the last time that's happened. When I go to see a superhero movie and there's not a trailer for another superhero movie. It's because, like, nothing else is ready because of the strikes delayed everything.
Right.
Like, there's nothing else that's ready to come
they're
out.
not going to throw the Madam Web trailer ahead of that.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of that could have been there, but
Right.
it wasn't. I'm surprised that it wasn't, to be honest with you. But anyway.
The other 2 that were on my list, I weirdly did a top 5 for that too. These are all unintentional top 5s, but Transformers 1 and War of the Rohirrim. Both animated.
The Lord of the Rings anime or animated, I'm excited for that. Specifically, I've been rewatching the Lord of the Rings films that I haven't watched in 15 years. It's been a long time since I've seen those movies. But like as of right now, my mind is very much excited about any new Lord of the Rings stuff. So like Rings of Power too is probably high on my list. What would you say as far as
rumors on Rings of Power being moved to 25? So
is that true?
I don't know if it's true or not, but I had heard some ravens in my ear.
I had not heard that. That's a bummer. What would you say as far as TV shows? What are some things that you're looking forward to?
Well, because I forgot the Star Wars, 100% the Acolyte is what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
But outside of that, prior to me remembering that was 100% going to be Fallout, just because I want to know what the hell that show is going to be.
Yeah. Okay. That's not what I expected you to say for sure.
Yeah.
I thought you were going straight X-Men 97.
No, I'm excited about that, but also like, I don't know. Like it's 100% I'm going to start binging it the first day that it's out.
Sure.
But I don't know. It's like it's in the in the general vein of where everything else is. It's like at the top of that, but it's not above and beyond.
Yeah. I'm definitely excited about the Star Wars stuff, both Skeleton Crew and Acolyte. I mean, I'll always take another season of Harley Quinn. Love that show.
We started watching that, by the way.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Finally? Just season 1?
Yeah.
You're in season 1, I assume? Yeah. How's it going so far?
So fucking weird. It's great.
So funny.
It's like they took Archer, put it in the DC universe, and made it weirder.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
So good. If I had to pick one, though, like, as much as I love Star Wars, as much as I love, I don't know, any other stuff, like, like the Penguin. I'm super excited about the Penguin spin-off of the Batman.
That's where I expected you to go.
I gotta go Creature Commandos, man. It's like,
just because of what it's potentially kicking off.
It's a partial own setter for the entire future of the DCU as it looks right now under James Gunn. And so like that alone makes it like feel like a absolute must watch for me. But going off what I thought about movies, we're getting an Alien series this, so like we're getting 2 Alien things.
Right.
I'm over the moon about that.
Yeah, Romulus was 100% on my movies. I forgot they were doing the TV series this year too.
I know. Wild. Good for them. Good for them. Oh, cool. Let us know. Write in. Tell us what you are expecting or what you're looking forward to in 2000.
Did you have anything? Did you have any comics? Or
Oh, I haven't even really looked at comics as far as what stuff is that I know that's coming out. Just like, I don't know. No, I didn't do my due diligence on comics. What do you got down?
The Ultimate stuff, 100%.
Oh, sure. Yeah, the new Ultimate Universe.
So
absolutely.
I have no clue. Like, I'm sure there'll be some indie that usurps everything and becomes my favorite thing of the year, much like this year.
Sure.
But like the relaunching of the Ultimate Universe seems like it's going to be very good. And if it's not, it's not.
Yeah.
But you know, between that and Fall of X and like Avengers Twilight, like Marvel's got some stuff going on.
Yeah.
So Marvel
sure.
Avengers Twilight is Zdarsky writing the Avengers. Like, okay, sign me up.
I didn't realize that was Chip Zdarsky.
Yeah.
You say that, but he's also the reason that I am Batman. No
Fair.
offense.
Fair.
To Chip Zdarsky. So
his track record with Marvel's a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, this is blasphemous for me to say, but hopefully, the lack of interest that I have in Batman is because he's been so focused on coming up with a good Avengers story. Who knows?
There you go.
I don't know. Comics. I'm excited to see where this Birds of Prey run goes because it's so good. And I hope it goes a little bit longer, but I hope that it's not. I hope that it's not around long. Same with Poison Ivy too. Like, I hope they're not around long enough that they run out of ideas and run themselves into the ground. Like, I hope they are able to keep it fresh. Which, I mean, Birds of Prey is only on issue like 4 or something like that. So
yeah.
That's
but like Poison Ivy at
way
17,
much
like how many more arcs can you do to keep it fresh?
I don't know, but it's been such a reinvention of the character that I can see it going on for a while longer because they've already done so much stuff that I don't expect. So, you know, I'm sure there's plenty of other stuff that I'm not thinking about that G. Willow Wilson is thinking about. So
yeah. 2024 in video games again. There will be the pure nerd in my heart. There will be a new World of Warcraft expansion coming out.
Oh, no way. So awesome.
Still going strong on that 20 years in.
Good for you.
It's
good
weird.
For you.
The fact that it will be a 20-year-old game next year.
Insane.
And still has an insane amount of player base is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And then there's Star Wars Hunters is coming out, which is they're supposed to be coming out. Which that had me from the beginning of like, I really want to see what this turns into. Which
one is Star Wars Hunters? Is that the one we got that trailer for that was like a female
bounty
protagonist?
Hunter. Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. I forgot all about that game.
Yep.
That's coming out next year?
Supposedly. Who the hell knows
hell yeah.
when it actually will drop, but if
that's true, then that's definitely my number one.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's true, that's definitely my number one. Otherwise, I'm excited about Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. 'Cause that looks super fun.
Oh yeah, that does look good.
And I know there's been some leaks, but no release date for the Wolverine game, so we'll still be holding our breath about that for sure. All right. Speaking of comics, you got any comics to review, Steve? You got a comic to review?
I have The Deadly Hands of Kung Fu Gang War by Greg Pak.
Whoa. Deadly Hands of Kung Fu Gang War.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. Let's dive into that. What do you think
Sure,
about
why
that?
not? Greg Pak with Kaio Mahado on art and Jim Campbell on colors. It is as you can imagine, Spider-Man and Shang-Chi do Spider-Man and Shang-Chi things, but not in the way you'd think.
Oh,
Shang-Chi has apparently taken...
That cover is awesome, by the way.
Oh, it is.
The style of that cover is great.
Yeah, just that minimalist kind of... Yeah,
so
did
good.
a great job on it. But so part of the Gang War arc, which Brian, if he's still in the chat, is ultimately familiar with because he's doing the same thing with Gang War that I did with Fall of X. So
yeah, pulling everything.
And Gang War so far has been apparently very good by all accounts. So this one was more... Shang-Chi apparently took over the 10 rings or the 5 rings from it, or what is it? The 5 rings? Whatever the organization.
As the movie is concerned, it's 10.
Well, the 10 rings are the rings, the 5 whatever. The group from the group from his father. Basically inherited the commander of the 5 Weapons Society. So he's the leader of the effectively, mercenary army. And instead of taking part in the gang war, which his father would have 100% done, he's leaving it to defend Chinatown. Just hold their turf and not go out and conquer everybody in this gang war that's going on. And he ends up having a mutiny against him and fighting back, and it's it's a very, I guess it's a very rote kind of story, but done well.
Yeah.
So it's I inherited this, I'm trying to change the organization from the inside, blah blah blah. People are gonna, long-standing people are going to fight back against me, and at the end the 10 rings are taken from him and people are starting to invade, and it's part of, I believe, a 3-issue mini arc. But basically he still has control of the organization but doesn't have the 10 rings, and Hammerhead and everybody else are coming to invade Chinatown, so he has to fight them off just using Kung Fu. Because, he is Shang-Chi.
That's what he does. Master of Kung Fu.
Indeed he is.
Cool.
Overall, solid book. Not amazing, not bad by any stretch, and probably fits into that narrative quite well.
Nice. I have a more festive book to review. This is the Creep Show Holiday Special. Creep Show, for those of you not familiar, it's coming out from Image Comics. It's a long-running series. It's kind of like a Tales from the Crypt style horror book, where it's like an anthology series where there's 2 or 3 stories per book, with a bunch of different creators. This is the holiday special. So there's one story called Christmas Man, and there's one story called Package Thieves from a bunch of different creators: Daniel Kraus, Jonathan Wayshak, Adriano Lucas, Pat Brosau, James Asmus, Letizia Cadanci, Francesco Segala, and Pat Brosau. They're both very good stories. Christmas Man was awesome for sure.
Yep.
And they're kind of again, they do different styles of horror. It's not always one similar thing. Christmas Man is about older siblings or older friends teasing a young girl about a monster that basically follows Santa Claus around on Christmas Eve and kills people for whatever reason.
And kills people.
Yeah, telling her a terrifying bedtime story. But then lo and behold, it's real. And they have to deal with Christmas Man. And the other one is a woman just receiving body parts as packages. Disgusting. But yeah, I mean, Creepshow. Any comic horror fan knows Creepshow. This was a really good book. We're getting a little past the holidays, but this was definitely worth a read for sure. Like it was still, I'm somebody that's more or less done with Christmas at midnight on December 25th. But I still found this like really engaging and worth reading despite it being like Christmas themed still.
Yep.
And I know they got a bunch down at Funky Town Comics, so go and check it out. It's really good. It's terrifying and creepy as hell. So
nice.
I endorse Creepshow, or I endorse this or any other issue of Creepshow. It's definitely, if you're a horror fan, you should be getting Creepshow on the regular, I would say.
Yeah, that was one of those where it was like holiday themed horror. I've already got one of those.
Yeah, I'll take
Deviant it. was a hell of a read. So
yeah, I still have a read issue too. I got it right there.
Oh, really?
I haven't read it.
I read it. It holds up.
I'm sure that it does.
Again, apparently it's just the year of James Tynion again. Seems like we talk about this every year, but
yeah, it's every year. Isn't that every year?
Right.
Yeah.
It's mildly insane what he's doing. So
I would love, like, I know all his indie stuff is great. I would love for him to get his hands on a big 2 character again.
Yeah.
I really like maybe I'm in the minority. I really thought his Batman run was like really interesting and going interesting places, and he jumped I think earlier than he expected to.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, because that
I
was
would like
the
him
whole,
to come back.
That was that whole stretch where everything was kind of up in the air with oh god, what was the service that was like swiping everybody and paying them a boatload of money?
Oh, Substack.
Yeah, when they were doing that.
Yep.
So
Yep. So anyway, what else is coming out this week in your local comic book store? This Wednesday, you can find Amazing Spider-Man 41, Basic Instinct number 2, Batman number 141, Birds of Prey number 5, Blue Beetle number 5, Captain America number 5, Fall of House of X number 1, Fantastic Four number 15, Gargoyles number 11, Kneel Before Zod number 1, Miguel O'Hara Spider-Man number 2099 number 1. Sorry, not number 2099. That's part of the title. Poison Ivy 18, Savage Red Sonja number 3, Shazam number 7, Star Wars Darth Vader number 42, Thanos number 2, Venom number 29. That's all the list of comics for tonight. Keeping a little on the shorter side. Steve, you pulling any of these? Excited about any of these? Or is there anything that you are currently reading?
Did you notice that there's only one X book on that whole list?
Yes.
The Fall of X is over.
Yeah.
We're down to one book. I can pull one book. I have no problem pulling one book.
Congratulations, Steve. You made it. You made it, buddy. You made it.
And all of those arcs that I've read so far, like the Uncanny Spider-Man, Jean Grey, all that, they've been very solid. So
yeah,
I was happy to have pulled them in hindsight.
Well, good. That's all you really want.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Fall of House of X, I'll probably grab just because at this point I'm invested.
Sure.
And beyond that, no, there's really not much there. Like, I don't know what Kneel Before Zod is, but it sounds intriguing because it's Kneel Before Zod.
Clearly about General Zod.
Yeah.
Something Superman related. I mean, I'm pulling this list has my 2 current pulls, Birds of Prey and Poison Ivy. So I'll be getting them for sure. Definitely probably will pick up and flip through Kneel Before Zod just to see what that's about. Absolutely, for sure. Other than that, I've been trying to catch up on stuff that I've been in the middle of, things I've started and not finished, which I finished World Tree. Like I said the other day, I'm working on Kelly Sue DeConnick's Bitch Planet, number 1, volume 1 of that. I've had that for like a year, and I haven't read that at all. I've bought both 1 and 2. And I'm also in the middle of Alan Moore's From Hell, which I have started and then long neglected. So I'm trying to bang those out in the next couple of weeks so I can get back into other stuff.
I did just confirm for the record the World Tree trade is 1 through 5. So
okay. So
yes,
I didn't spoil.
We're on the same page.
Hooray. Well, all right, Steve. I think that about does it for our yearly wrap up of Nerdy News, our last show of 2023.
Absolutely.
Wowzers.
Just mildly crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy. I mentioned to my wife last night, and I was saying like, like I said, well, we're doing this like a thing where we come up with our favorites of the past year because that's what because we did that the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And she goes, "You've been doing this for over 2 years?" Like she had no idea. I was like, "Yeah, this is year 3. We're going on our like May or whatever. It'll be like our 3rd full year.
Yeah.
We're in our 3rd year right now. Yeah.
We've published over 200 episodes.
It's insane. It's insane. I said, like, I know I've said this to you before, but like, basically our goal is to never stop so that when other nerd podcasts eventually do stop, their listeners will just funnel to us because we'll be like the only game in town.
Still going.
We'll just be like going and going and going forever.
214 episodes strong going into 2024.
Does that include like the mini episodes, like the TV review episodes and stuff?
So.
Specials?
That's everything I've published to our podcast feed. So,
man, that's a lot. That's a lot of talking you and I have done.
Yep. 215 technically after tonight because I have not published that yet.
Well, thank you for listening to our 215th episode, everybody. We really appreciate it. We wish you all a safe and happy New Year's Eve and a safe and happy 2024. We'll be back next week, most likely back to Sundays, I would think, after this holiday craziness has died down.
Yeah, I think we're probably clear until like Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, sure. And then screw it. Probably next week, we're gonna have 2 announcements of interviews that we're going to be having on this show.
That weirdly
if you go back
very
and
pertinent.
If you go back and listen to this episode, you might be able to figure out who we'll be talking to. But we'll save the official announcement for next.
And for the record, those were not plants; those were legitimately both of our favorite books. So
yeah, yep, just legit.
Yeah,
very legit. But anyway, very excited and again nervous about those. Going to do some research in the next few weeks for sure. Part of my reading itinerary. But I think that's all I got. You got anything else?
No, I'd say outside of that, just get a hold of us when you can. Check us out on themultiversereport.com, Multiverse Report on most of the socials, themultiversereport@gmail.com if you want to toss us a line in long form and make us read an email. That'd be great. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, or if you're watching us on YouTube, just hit the like and subscribe and the whole 9. And we'll get back to you.
Awesome. Sounds great. Until next time, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the multiverse. Happy New Year.